Welcome back to Where is the Money? So the new jobs report just came out for June 2025. So let's take a look at this. Let's see how well we're doing. Is it more jobs? Is it less jobs? A lot of people have been anticipating less jobs for June. Let's see how well we did.
The S&P 500 futures turning negative as Wall Street digests this week's jobs data. And then additionally, the private sector losing jobs in June, marking the first job declines in over 2 years. Eyes now turn to Thursday's jobs report from the BLS.
Yeah, stocks this morning hovering around the flat line as really investors try to digest what exactly trade talks could look out for and what exactly we could hear from the Federal Reserve next month as these tariffs take effect. If you take a closer look at that ADP report, we did see jobs in the private sector fall 33,000 jobs in the month of June. That was far less than what Wall Street had expected, a gain of 98,000, and also far less than the 29,000 that we gained in the month of May. Now, once again, this was the first month of job declines or job losses since March of 2023. And Neela Richardson of ADP, where this report is from, the chief economist there, said, quote, layoffs continue to be rare.
Now, let me get this straight. 147,000 new jobs posted for the month of June. Now, I've expressed a few issues with the job reports and how they do everything. It don't seem like they calculate people to have 2 jobs. And I wonder if it calculates gig work, type of jobs, the industry. I don't know. It feels like these numbers do not reflect reality for a lot of different people, because if they posting 147,000 new jobs in June, why are there still people reporting, filling out hundreds of applications, no callbacks? Been going on hundreds of job interviews, no job. This is not just entry-level jobs, it's career jobs. We already know about the ghost jobs. That's been a thing. Even recruiters have acknowledged that there's ghost jobs out there. So how can you possibly post that many new jobs and people still express they can't find work for months on end? And these people are not just lazy people. These are not just Gen Zs. These are not just people talking about they don't want jobs. Are these even living wage jobs, if any? Is this number real?
If you take a look underneath the hood of this report, we did see those job losses led by 3 key sectors, including professional and businesses, services, also education and health services, in addition to financial activities. Now, one thing that the Fed really looks out for is also wages. We did see that for employees who changed jobs. We saw wage growth at 6.8%. We also saw for employees who stayed their job, we saw a wage gain of 4.4%. Important to note here that both of those wage gain numbers were less than the previous month. But the big deal here is that this ADP report is often a key precursor for the monthly jobs report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Jen Schomburger, I know you're standing by with more. Jen?
Yeah, hey there, Brooke. It was a pretty ugly report on that top line, wasn't it, from ADP? But that's not necessarily indicative of what we could see from the BLS report.
There's 2 types of jobs reports, right? We've got the ADP, which that's the private sector job reports. And then you got the BLS, which is the government sector. So when you're looking at the private sector, ADP, we all know is one of the largest, if not the largest payroll company. If ADP is giving me numbers and it's from the private sector and they have data real time from the private sector, I think those numbers are going to be a little bit more accurate. You could also argue there will be higher paying jobs and better for the economy on that side of the table. Then you get the BLS, which is the government's reporting, and that is done through a household survey. So it's a little dated, like a lot of the ways the government has done their surveying and through the CPI and the PCE. That's no different on the BLS side. I think there's some surveys and components that take place that kind of yield the numbers that are coming out. And so what we're finding is that the ADP numbers are coming in reflecting job losses. They're coming in less creations than expected. And then on the BLS side, we have headlines that are actually coming in showing this exuberant amount of growth on the headline.
Let's go over and hear how the job search been going for people looking for a job for the last few months and how well that's going. People with career, with experience, expert in their field, no bad job history, has been laid off and still looking for jobs. Let's take a look. Let's get a pulse of what's going on.
This job market is so fucking crazy. Like, we all the way in July, and the job market is still the same from January. And I might know why that's the case. I think this job shortage and this job, unavailability is manufactured. Or when you look around at all these jobs, what's the age demographic? You would think it would be nothing but young people, but no, it's people in their 40s and 50s working entry-level jobs. Not only is there a certain group of people that never took the opportunity to advance and make their life better, so they're sitting in positions that are supposed to be for me and you. There are other old people that will not give Gen Z, Gen Alpha, even some really, really young millennials any jobs. I've seen plenty of times they said that Gen Z is lazy, Gen Z does not want to work, and that they are the worst employees to hire. But I work 80 hours a week. I'm Gen Z. I'm 23. Those are the people that's pushing the narrative that we're lazy, that we don't want to work, are the people in the positions to hire us. And the positions that we're supposed to take, they're not being available because they're still being fulfilled. There are plenty of people that are on Social Security and still have to go to work after retirement. They want to make it to where everybody's dependent on a job. This job shortage shit is not a real shortage. They're making the availability just small so that you dependent on it.
Now, to add another layer to this situation, we also still have a record number of layoffs. We got the federal layoffs there. Trump's still trying to lay off some new people. We got the tech sector still laying off people. We just had Intel laying off 10,000 people. They're downsizing their AI department and foundry. So we got more layoffs happening. So how many of these new job creations report is replacing jobs that has already recently been laid off? So is it not felt in the market simply because it's replacing some of the laid off positions? I don't know. Something's off with this.
So ADP monthly reports based on their clients' payrolls, the changes in the job market. So they reported an actual decline in jobs in June of 33,000. Also, they reported a revision to May, which was originally growth of 37,000 jobs. And this was revised down to growth of 29,000 jobs. So the biggest takeaways for me are the trend and how different this is versus expectations. As a reminder, in March, ADP reported growth of 155,000 jobs. In April, growth of 60,000 jobs. Originally, May was 37,000 jobs, now 29,000 jobs. And now, in June, reporting a decline of 33,000 jobs, which is the first decline in over 2 years. So the trend is certainly concerning, but even more concerning is what was expected versus what happened. So in May, economists had expected 110,000 jobs would be added, and now we know it was only 29,000. And in June, those economists expected 100,000 jobs to be added, and we now know it was actually a decline of 33,000 jobs. So it's not only the trend that's concerning, but how different it is versus expectations. And if it's those expectations that are currently propping up valuations, then I think we're going to have a big problem. And there's no telling when it's going to hit because, as you know, the stock market is forward-looking, it's expectations. But as those expectations are not met, something's got to give.
Okay, so let's recap. 147,000 new jobs for June. Then we still got people looking for jobs in this market, not just people that are quote unquote lazy. On top of that, we still have record number of layoffs. Every day, new layoffs. So where does that put us in this current economy? Are we in good shape yet? I don't think so. I don't think so. Is it time to lower rate? I don't know. You tell me. Put your comments below. Let's talk about it. This is Where is the Money? Talk to you soon.